So I got like 3 articles actually I want to just talk about. So here goes. There's this list 2013 top 50 most influential marijuana users. And I am very impressed with this list, especially with the Kentucky Association. A lot of Kentucky is in this top 50 list. Kentucky is the bluegrass state. Number one cash crop is marijuana. Hemp has been made legal by our state government, and so that sets up a Supreme Court battle with the federal government because the seed of hemp and the seed of marijuana is the same seed. And and also it's the number one issue on change.org. It's the issue that separates the old from the young. Shows how the old has, been lying to the young, and will continue to lie to the young. So, okay, some more Kentucky history. Gatewood Galbraith ran to legalize marijuana, laughed out of the water, even though he was our Huey Long, and the legalization of marijuana would have paid for all the services that he had talked about. We also got John Robert Boone. John Robert Boone is the leader of the Cornbread Mafia coming out of central Kentucky, and he's been on the run. He's been on the lam for, I don't know, a decade or so. So, Ashley Judd, she grew up around marijuana, so actually that is another Kentucky Association. I only read half this list, so I'm going to read the whole thing now. Okay, so, alright, here we go. The number one most influential pothead or person, marijuana user, is President Barack Obama. The quote is, "When I was a kid, I inhaled frequently. That was the point." Number two is Oprah Winfrey. And she said, to kick things off, a television show host, Andy Cohen, asked the last time Winfrey had smoked marijuana. 1982 is what Oprah said. Winfrey replied, that's what Oprah said in 1982. Then Conan says, we need to hang out after the show. And then Oprah Winfrey says, okay, I hear that it's gotten better. So I've heard that the weed's gotten better, since 1982. So that indicates that she smoked weed before. I think she also smoked crack. I also heard that Obama was selling cocaine in college. President Bill Clinton, he experimented with marijuana a time or two. He didn't inhale, and he didn't like it. So, he didn't like it. So, Associate Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. The White House said today that Judge Clarence Thomas, President Bush's Supreme Court nominee, had smoked marijuana while in college. So, the most conservative member of the Supreme Court is a pothead. I think he also said something to Anita, somebody that his dick looked like a Pepsi can or some shit. Stephen Colbert said, first, in high school, I smoked a lot of pot, and that's how I got to know the people half in the society of my high school, and we waved at each other over the bong, and I got to know people by making jokes. Jon Stewart, he says, do you know how many movies I wrote when I was high? Jay-Z, I smoked some weed and that's how I finished Izzo. John Kerry, in response to the question, which are you ready to admit that having used marijuana in the past? John Kerry said, yes. Yes, I have used marijuana in the past. George Soros, he said he tried marijuana and enjoyed it, but it did not become a habit, and he's not tasted it in many years, according to Reuters 2697. That's the date. Bill Maher says, I've never made it a secret of the fact that I've tried marijuana about 50,000 times. So Bill Maher has tried marijuana 50,000 times. There's number 11, Bill Gates. As for drugs, well, Gates was certainly not unusual there. Marijuana was the pharmaceutical of choice. So it says that's a source. Gates, how Microsoft Mobile reinvented an industry and made himself the richest man in America. President George W. Bush, I wouldn't answer the marijuana questions. You know why? Because I don't want some little kid doing what I tried. And so he basically says, I tried marijuana, but I don't want the kid to know about it. So it was like some clever way to admit to it. He was also snorting cocaine, so at the same time. Governor Andrew Cuomo, he said, I did experiment with marijuana when I was a youth. Senator Rand Paul, Kentucky! So there's a Kentucky connection. Senator Rand Paul, according to this woman who requested anonymity, because of her current job as a clinical psychologist. He and Randy came to my house. They knocked on my door, and then they blindfolded me, tied me up, and put me in their car. They took me to their apartment and tried to force me to take bong hits. They've been smoking pot. So this lady says that she was, blindfolded, tied up, and thrown into the car. And then later on, I think they take her out to the creek, and she's made to get on her knees and pray to an aqua Buddha. Jack Conway actually ran in that ad against Rand Paul in the election for senator. 2010, I think. So, yeah. Rand Paul, it's our senator. It's our libertarian, anti-war on drugs, anti-pretend to be for, the war on drugs until he becomes president, and then he'll just go all radical Ron Paul on everybody. Right. So, Sanjay Gupta, he tried it. LeBron James also revealed that he and his teammates smoked marijuana one night after getting access to a hotel room in Akron. Rush Limbaugh, he admitted to Playboy in 1993 that he smoked marijuana twice. This is actually a different list, I think, than I read somewhere else. I thought he said something like most of his shows he couldn't have got through without it or something. He, of course, the Oxycontin, he was found with just mounds and mounds of Oxycontin. If it was crack, he would have been in prison for millennium, 1,000 years of darkness for him. George Clooney, Kentucky. So George Clooney, I don't actually know where he's from, but you got the Rosemary Clooney Festival in Maysville. Nick Clooney, he's a columnist in northern Kentucky. He's got a family here. He came from here. He don't come back. I don't know why. He's going to Darfur and Africa, and they're more needy countries, but there's no running water in a lot of counties in Kentucky. So Clooney, you need to give a fuck about your own state. So does Johnny Depp, but I think he's listed later on. So the owner of a local cannabis cafe told reporters that George Clooney was no stranger there. So he goes to a weed cafe. Mayor Michael Bloomberg, you bet I did, and I enjoyed it. Lady Gaga, I smoke a lot of pot when I write music. She is number 20. Brad Pitt, I was hiding out from the celebrity thing. I was smoking way too much marijuana. Number 21. Ted Turner's number 22. CNN anchor Gwen Scott claimed it was common knowledge that Turner sits in his office and smokes marijuana. Tom Brokaw, what I did was experiment with a little marijuana like a lot of other people and walked away. And he's number 23. Michael Phelps. Phelps firmly denies that he takes drugs, suggesting that the notorious photo of him smoking from a bong was a one-time lapse of judgment. First time you ever smoked a bong, they took a picture of him? Nah, that's not true. Jennifer Aniston, I enjoy it once in a while. There's nothing wrong with that. Everything in moderation. I wouldn't call myself a pothead. So she smokes weed every once in a while. David Letterman, I went through one period when I smoked a really breathtaking amount of grass almost every night. Morgan Freeman, never give up the ganja. Angelina Jolie, the one that has the worst effect for me was pot. I felt silly and giggly, and I hate feeling like that. Martha Stewart, of course I know how to roll a joint. So thug Martha Stewart, she goes to prison for insider trading. Meanwhile, big banks get away with, stealing everybody's money. Seth MacFarlane, I don't smoke much pot anymore. So he's not smoking pot like he used to. Governor John Hickenlooper, as I've already been open about in the past, as I assume many would expect, I made personal choices when I was younger that I neither support nor condone for others, and certainly wouldn't encourage through public policy. So, Governor John Hickenlooper is a pothead. Andrew Sullivan, the blogger and commentator, Andrew Sullivan was busted in July for possessing a small amount of marijuana within the Cape Cod National Seashore. Susan Sarandon, cocaine didn't interest me, not at all. I'm way back in the early pot. That's what she was into. Conan O'Brien, I've tried pot, but it doesn't do much for me. Matt Damon, the first time I smoked was at home with my mother and stepfather. That's nice. Matt Damon smoked with his mom. His mom brought him into this life, this pot life, this dope fiend life. Governor Lincoln Chafee. In 1999, then Warwick Mayor Lincoln D. Chafee won accolades for his honesty in acknowledging he used marijuana and cocaine as a 1970s student. at Brown University. Maya Angelou, number 37. Angelou settled into a job as a waitress and began smoking marijuana with abandon. Justin Bieber. Bieber confirmed that he'd been caught smoking weed and apologized for it. Number 38. Governor Sarah Palin. Number 39. I can't claim a Bill Clinton and say that I never inhaled. So Sarah Palin smoked weed. Phil Jackson in 1975, he wrote Maverick, a memoir about his days playing in the NBA. Among other things, Jackson spoke frankly about his marijuana use. That was number 40. The last 10, Johnny Depp. I'm not a great pothead or anything like that, but weed is much, much less dangerous than alcohol. So already we got Johnny Depp, we got George Clooney, Rand Paul, Ashley Judd, probably Abe Lincoln. I mean, I would guess, of course. I mean, all those things, of the people, by the people, for the people. How would he come up with shit like that? You know, he had to have been high when he was writing that. Madonna. Yeah, Johnny Depp, actually, I asked him to help me out with this. I ran for state representative in my hometown county, and I asked him to come to help me out. I had a good Hunter S. Thompson plan, but I don't know, his fucking publicist or some shit kind of fucking, I think she didn't say shit to him. I think she just kind of, whatever you call it, where you send someone down, you know, a different pipe. Madonna, she blames her behavior on the show when she was like, fuck this, fuck everything in 94 because she had smoked pot. Robert Downey Jr. said he started smoking weed at age 8. 8 years old. Bryan Cranston, Breaking Bad, Malcolm in the Middle's dad. Pot just always made him sleepy. Miley Cyrus, I guess that's why he's into meth. Miley Cyrus, you know you're a stoner when your friends make you a Bob Marley cake. So Miley Cyrus, there's another Kentucky connection. Miley Cyrus's father is Billy Ray Cyrus, and Billy Ray Cyrus, I think, is from Greenup County, which is northeast Kentucky. Greenup County. And Billy Ray Cyrus, Don't Break My Heart, My Achy Breaky Heart, that's Miley Cyrus's father, and so she was born in the industry. She's been in the public eye the whole time, but I'm very greatly influenced by her Kentucky father. Hugh Hefner, Smoking helped me put in touch with the realm of the senses. Rihanna, Kush Rolled, Glass Full, I Prefer to Better Things. Oliver Stone, I went to Vietnam. I was there for a long time. Using marijuana made the difference between staying human or, as Michael Douglas said, becoming a beast. Rick Steves, I've used cannabis all over the world. Snoop Dogg, it makes me feel the way I need to feel. Makes me feel the way I need to feel. So that's Snoop Dogg. So that's the top 50 most influential marijuana users. I can't think of any marijuana users that was left out. John Robert Boone, I mentioned him. Ronnie Lee Smith, he ran for sheriff in Gouth County, 2010, I think. So Ronnie Lee Smith, he's a popular pothead. Gatewood Galbraith, he was a pothead. Gate Woodstock is actually coming up October 4th. I'm going to go. That's going to be a lot of fun somewhere in Berea. Gate Woodstock. So you have Gate Woodstock, you have Ronnie Lee Smith, you have John Kane, you have John Robert Boone. The Bluegrass Conspiracy was about more than just marijuana. In fact, Kentucky has a long moonshining tradition. So we have an anti-authoritarian, pro-drug, anti-prohibition strand, a school of thought that has been consistent in Appalachia. So there is, there's moonshine, there's weed, there's pills, there's pillbillies out there. You can't fuck with the hill people, right? You got bushwhackers. They can just snipe you from on top of the mountaintops. So and then they can just scurry off, somewhere, just hide in the mountain or something. Like little hobbits, right? What was I saying about the war on drugs culture? They have all the drugs out there, lots of illegal stuff, probably guns, probably anything and everything. Just stay respectable and nice to each other, and nobody fuck with you. I don't know. Who knows? So in Kentucky, marijuana all over the place, all these influential people. Since 1992, our president of the United States has been a pothead, cokehead, alcoholic since 92. And that's assuming Daddy Bush or Reagan wasn't on the motherfucking medications. JFK was on pills, you know. Free the weed. Legalize it.